Over the years, I've known a number of people who have taken their own life or have talked about how they might do it. But I want to reassure you right from the start that I'm not going to be talking about methods of suicide. When someone takes their own life, the impact on those left behind is devastating. When it's a terminally ill 92-year-old care home resident who takes her life a few weeks after her husband's died, one can, to an extent, understand why she might have chosen to do so. But all the same, it's devastating for family and the care home staff alike. When life is turning around for a 32-year-old after years of depression, and they do so, it shatters parents, siblings, friends and healthcare professionals who supported them. Whatever the situation, everyone is left drowning in a pool of despair, asking, why did they do it? What else could we have done? What did we do wrong? Coming as it did just hours before Christ himself was crucified, for the remaining disciples and the others who followed Jesus, the death of Judas Iscariot would have been just as devastating. When Judas, his betrayer, saw that Jesus was condemned, he repented and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders. He said, I have sinned by betraying innocent blood. But they said, what is that to us? See to it yourself. Throwing down the pieces of silver in the temple, Judas departed, and he went and hanged himself. Okay, so Judas had his fingers in the purse. Yes, he'd walked into the garden at Gethsemane and handed over the Messiah. Yes, he had betrayed not just Jesus, but that whole group who'd gone through so much together in the previous 3 years. After all, Judas had witnessed healings and miracles. He'd listened to the teaching. He'd walked and prayed. He was given the same authority to minister to others as the rest of the disciples. He had his feet washed. He received that first communion. Judas had become a friend, a close friend. And then he did that. Although we don't know the full facts, Judas may well have taken his own life out of remorse for the sheer magnitude of what he had done. He had condemned an innocent man to death. And although there is often a link between suicide and mental ill health, 3/4 of those who end their own lives are not in contact with mental health services. Now, despite the protective factors someone may have in place, so for example a partner or children, receiving and accepting support, the desire to end their own suffering, whatever that might mean for the person concerned, and the burden they believe themselves to be for others, it can all become too much, and they make the decision to end their life. As someone put it recently, when someone takes their own life, it is not always about wanting to die, but about wanting the pain to stop. In that most poignant of paradoxes, the making of that decision often results in the person feeling calmer than they did before. The end is now in sight. And for those of us left behind, there is, in most cases, probably nothing more we could have done. For those bereaved by suicide, the loss is great. A loss as great as any other death, arguably more so. Those left behind may feel betrayed. They may feel angry with the person who's taken their life. All the love they gave them, all the time and effort they spent, all the worry and suffering they went through, and then they did that. Such feelings are natural and normal. Many deaths leave unanswered questions, and when the loss is through suicide, especially if there's no note or explanation, the unanswered questions may always remain just that, unanswered. And that is a heavy cross to bear. The pain will last, and the healing may take a long time. The good memories remain, but the loss is deeply felt. Now, everybody's journey through grief is different. We all react in different ways, and the way one person deals with it is different from another. The methods one uses to deal with such loss will be different, and what works for one person doesn't mean to say that it will work for another. Grief impacts people in different ways, and within all of that, each journey is a valid one and to be respected. God has no timetable for our recovery from tragedy, said Bishop David Walker. There is no date after which he expects us to have pulled ourselves together. He knows that the hurt we experience can last a lifetime. He is always ready to see our tears, to hear our cries, and to whisper his words of comfort.